So it's like a removal of culture, it's a removal of title, it's a removal of vested patented rights. It's a violation to take away the vested inheritance of a human being is a violation that has bundles of other violations in it too. And so that's what I hear you saying. I wanted to say this, you guys. On February 9th, 1946, the United Nations Fourth Committee report adopted Resolution 9, parentheses I, recognizing the problem of non-self-governing peoples and where the United States did accept certain obligations thereunder. Hawaii, we assume to mean the constitutional sovereign nation of Ko Hawaii Pai'aina, was placed by the United States in that category. Then on February 9th, and I'm reading from I'm taking excerpts from the task force report, and this is part of the introduction. It goes on to say that, recall please that on February 9th, 1946, the General Assembly approved Resolution 66, parentheses I, requiring transmissions from the United States concerning conditions in Alaska, American Samoa, Guam, Hawaii, etc., further placing the obligatory specification with a view to making all relevant data available to their expert and deliberative bodies. And as you can tell from this communication and the annexed body of evidence that the United States did not fulfill its obligations accordingly. So 1959 is not far after 1946. And, I have to ask this because you know what this show is about. I have to ask you, members, do you believe that 1946 transmittal that, stating from Henry Cabot Lodge that the United States has been administrating this archipelagic nation for so long that all the people just agree with the United States administrative policies? Any one of you can answer that. Would you like to?
Jeremiah?
Do you think it was fair? Was it legitimate? Was it for the best thing that ever happened to this archipelago?
I believe that they didn't have the right jurisdiction, for one.
Okay.
They didn't have the title of the land. And it's like a neighbor. I'll just put this example. It's like your neighbor telling you what to do in your house.
Uh-huh.
Your house, your car, your family is mine. And everybody else down the neighborhood is mine. I don't care what you say.
So they made
mine.
this false representation.
That's what it's bottom line. If I can make people understand this, instead of going through the legal proceedings and all the jurisdiction and all that, it basically means that I'm going to control you, whether you like it or not. I'm going to shove this down your throat.
That sounds like a human rights violation.
And who is this Cabot Lodge considered related to us, Kanaka Maoli? Nobody. Really nobody. He doesn't have the blood, the koko. He doesn't have the ancestry. So you tell me, do they really have the right to do that to us? I took a licking on that. As you can look at me, you can see I took a licking on that.
Any more mana'o? The 1946 representation by the United States saying we've administered the archipelago, they're fine, take them off the list.
I believe their thinking was that it was for the better of the Kanaka Maoli in their eyes, in their mindset. What is sad is when the Kanaka Maoli said, well, it was better they did it than some other country. That is this.
Yeah.
That makes me angry.
That's kind of like a cop-out.
It is a cop-out. And maybe it is ignorance too, maybe it has been suppressed, oppressed. But no, however you turn the picture, stretch it, no, it was this basic violation, and they just wanted to take it from us, period, for their own benefit.
Okay.
Well, there was never an overthrow, and no annexation, so what jurisdiction do they have to begin with?
Exactly.
They have none.
You know,
So they actually just violated the Kanaka Maoli as well as the non-Kanaka Maoli's rights.
Everyone.
Right, because
Yeah.
there were non-Kanaka Maoli living here at the time who were perfectly happy
yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
and loved the nation.
They were our citizens. They were our people. They were part of our obligation was to take care of them also. Not only the Kanaka, but
Right.
all our citizens
Yeah.
in the nation.
Right.
Right?
I think that's important for you, po'e out there, you viewers out there, that you need to open up a little bit and maybe not label and pigeonhole everything, to Hawaiian issue or Kanaka Maoli issue.
Well, I have something to add to that because
Yeah.
I was taking Hawaiian classes, and then I had this kumu whose name was Papahanakai. And of course, I'm going to mention his name. My nephew, Russell Cole Kelly, was with me. And we're attending classes, and then he went and talked to Papahanakai in the class before the class started. And somehow, Papahanakai found out that we were, fighting the culture and trying to get back, the lost land, and we're doing this, fighting for our land. And then he addressed Russell Cole Kelly and told Russell, what are you and your uncle doing? You shouldn't spank the hand that is feeding you. So spanking the hand, meaning that the United States was feeding us.
Oh
So
my.
Russell came running out. He said, Uncle, Papa Hanukkah, he said, we cannot do what we're doing, fighting for our rights and fighting for our land. And he says that we can't spank the hand that feeds you. I says, well, you go back and tell Uncle, Papa Hanukkah, that what happens if the hand stops feeding you? And he went back and told, our kumu, our teacher. And guess what our kumu said to Russell? He said, shucks, didn't think about that. So
But-
as you can see, you cannot depend. You have to fight for what you believe is right, And I believe what we're doing is true and correct,
I
as we
believe
sit
in
on
that.
this task
Yes.
force. That's one of the incidents that happened,
I have a question for you on that. I'm going to add to that.
Sure, go ahead.
What happens if the hand that's feeding you is feeding you poison?
That is worse. That is genocide, and that's the reason why we're sitting on a seat to stop things like that. So that's in fact we're eating poison right now. If you ask me,
It's here we're sitting in what people call paradise around the globe, and we're being subjected to, without permission, genetically modified, engineered,
GMO.
uncontrolled experimentation, which is a direct violation of your human rights. And that's everybody in the archipelago.
That's it.
Exactly.
Everybody.
Yeah, not only for Hawaiians but non-Hawaiians too. It's affecting the non-Hawaiians just as much as the Hawaiians itself. That's the way I see
I
it.
have a question.
Yeah.
To you, Mahia,
Oh.
Lani. Since America was bankrupt, I believe 3 times, and the food that they say they feed in us, and the money that's generated, can I ask you, where is that money coming from if they were broke 3 times over? Where is that money being generated specifically? Rather than putting their hands in to take out the money to pay for the war, to pay for what we call our food. Where do you think that money comes from?
I'm going to take an educated guess based on factual records
Right.
and research and searches that I've performed myself and other experts have
That's why
performed.
I dared to.
What they're doing is reaching into the collateralized estates of your ancestors. And not only are they collateralizing the estates as their assumed assets to write certificates on and do world and global trades on, but they're also collateralizing things like your reefs under the disguise of a monument, under the disguise of a national park, under the disguise of a national area reserve, under the disguise of helping the people eradicate myconia. And these collateralized national parks, or even watersheds, for example, watersheds, so important, water. When they collateralize the U.S. administration, collateralizes a watershed area, what they do is they piece it out and they pool it up just like mortgages, because it's broken down into monetary instruments, and then it's traded around the world. But do you get the benefit? Do the actual owners and principals, those of you out there as well, do you get the benefit of that? Or do you have to remain subjugated and watch your assets be used to be spent on new warmongering equipment, you know, tanks, people-killing machines in the name of the United States? So that's my answer.
Here, here.
That's my answer. Thank you for asking the question.
We have basically schedules that are going to come up pretty soon. I hope that's going to show where we're going to be located in, say, the next 3 weeks.
Oh,
Is that
yeah.
right?
Okay.
So that
yeah.
people can come to our meetings and say their piece.
We might have that up, but I think maybe, Josie, do you have
No, I don't
the
have
dates
it.
with you? No? Okay. Well, there's a number that you can call. It's up on the screen as well. 870-1594. And
19.
you can call and get more information, or you could check
17.
out email
December
kohawai'ai'aina@yahoo.com.
21st November.
The
November
November 19th is
Yeah.
going to be at Paia Community Center from 6 to 9. And then on November 21st, it's going to be at Haiku Community Center from 6 to 9. And please be there. The task force is ready to take your complaints, create the summary, and once again, create more impact toward the objective and the achievement, just like it was reported by a United States reporter. Yeah.
Yeah, and I believe we
achievement.
also got Kenai and Nagiko lined up for next month, don't we?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Those dates
Well,
will be coming
Those
out,
dates
yeah?
will be coming up, so Kenai, Nagiko will coming.
All right,
You know,
brilliant.
we coming.
Brilliant.
Okay, I just want to let everybody know that the Human Rights Task Force, what we're doing is we're actually taking complaints on human rights violations. We're summarizing them, and we're going to present a report with unlimited amount of evidence. And we're going to submit those to the TRICA. The TRICA is made up of Japan, France, and I believe Cameroon. And Cameroon has also recently gained their independence, so I'm sure they'll be able to understand where we're coming from as far as gaining our independence. We're also going to go to several different areas, and like Mahealani mentioned earlier, we're willing to actually go outer islands so we can get the testimonies and compile everything so we can actually submit it for our nation, the Kanaka Maoli, as well as the non-Kanakas, so that we can submit it to the proper organization. And so everyone will be heard.